I first started my career in a non-technical role, and a lot of people didn't really believe that I was in relationship management role, customer success.
Even I feel that even if you're a data scientist or you are an IT professional and you are working on particular programming, for example, you're working on Python, but then stakeholders or business clients, they look for something else and you're delivering something else. That's where your communication skills and the way you connect with the clients, that comes into the picture, right? And that is one of the most
The IS, the PaaS, and the SaaS models, right? You know, what are all those three different types of cloud computing models? Yeah. What is it? Now I'm testing you on the fly.
Yeah. Everyone, hello listeners and viewers, welcome to the new episode of Analytics Unplugged, where we do conversations with data experts. Today we have someone who is expert in Microsoft products, working on various products in Microsoft AI, working on various tools. We'll talk about everything. And let me just talk about what she has done. So, Jia, she is currently working at Microsoft. She is enthusiastic about challenges. So, I've seen her LinkedIn. She has been working on so many challenges like NASA Space App. She has been working on UWA Innovation Challenge as well. And before that, she was a winner of Women in Technology Western Australia 2019. So she has been working since a long in artificial intelligence, working on Gen AI and all those sort of things. So welcome, Jia, to the podcast.
Thank you, Auntie Ken. Thank you for inviting me here today.
That's amazing. And I'm super plumped to have you on this podcast. So basically, I have seen you. I remember a couple of weeks back when we went to this Microsoft event in Perth. So I still remember there was a speaker who was talking about so many things, and you were at the side corner, you were working on your own project stuff. So I know you're so hardworking and you work a lot on these projects. So we would love to know from your side how your journey has been, how you started, and what triggered you to be in data field, right? So right now it's a buzzword, but we would love to know from you how you started your journey.
Actually, I first started my career in a non-technical role, and a lot of people didn't really believe that I was in relationship management role, customer success. Back in the day, it was one of those buzzwords because a lot of the cloud platform has just moved into these consumption models, and they need like customer success manager to actually help them along to meet the business outcome that they were hoping to achieve with that whatever technology that they wanting to procure. Then when I first got into Microsoft, I was also a account manager, so customer success account manager, looking after their enterprise support, and it's more around program management, making sure that they get everything that they need from Microsoft, and make sure is that all the investment that go into Microsoft products, they get the absolute returns on it. How I actually got into the data and AI profession was because there was they call it a special program. It was like an associate programs for cloud solution architect, because you could already imagine that people who is in cloud solution architect role, usually they have been in the data professions for 10 to 15 years or 20 years, right?
Yeah.
There's people that's been in industry for a long time. But there was this manager, and his name is Jonathan Wade. He's actually still at Microsoft today, but he's created this associate program with Daniela, which is my colleagues. And they say, you know what, we are going to try to bring in diversity of thoughts, and also diversity of age as well, because they can, younger people can bring in a more diverse thinking.
Right.
And I just went for a role. Didn't even know much about data platform. I did learn database and relational database and data warehouses in university, which was like many, many years ago. But like in terms of hands-on experience, I didn't have it then. So I actually studied a lot for my certifications and trying to get like the foundation skills in data sorted out, and then I went for a role. We had an interview, and I think it was not because what was my technical level at that point in time. Clearly, they saw the potential because I also bring in different aspects of my skill, like relationship management, the enthusiasm, how I bring people along in their technical journey. So I think that was one of the um, competitive advantage that I brought in as a candidate. And that's how my journey in data and AI profession start. It's
That's
been
amazing.
3 years now. Yeah, if I remember. Yeah, it's been about 3 years now.
Awesome. So when you were talking about relationship management and it helped you to get more better jobs profiles and all, so what exactly you learned as a relationship manager, and what exactly we can take out as a student or as a early professional from those kind of profiles?
One thing that I learned in relationship management is managing different conflicts and different competing interests that might arise within a different stakeholders groups. Actually, I'm not sure if you're still here, and I
We
think I
are.
lose you.
No, 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 I'm still
Sorry.
there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Sorry. I suddenly could not see you and I was not sure if you still around. Okay, you're still here. Awesome.
yeah,
Sorry. So,
I'm back.
anyway, so what I was learning from my relationship management role, there were so many people that has to be involved in an IT project, right? Doesn't matter if it's data, security, device management. Everybody has their own interest. Everybody has their own KPI objective. So I was learning how to read between the lines and understanding like what is it that each of the people in the stakeholder groups are expecting and trying to meet their expectation. And sometimes not everybody needs to be updated. Yes, some people might be accountable for the outcome of the project, but in a day-to-day project's update, they might not need to know unless something big or some big decision is being made. So there are little things like that that I learn that kind of enrich how I manage my customers today in a technical or data and AI projects. And I think it's really important because it goes back to that human connection part. Like, doesn't matter
Right.
how technical the project could be, people are still part of it. And for us, like, we always look for a way to connect. And it's just learning how to connect and meet different stakeholders at the right place and right time.
Right, because even I feel that even if you're a data scientist or you are an IT professional and you are working on particular programming, for example, you're working on Python, but then stakeholders
Mhm.
or business clients, they look for something else and you're delivering something else. That's where your communication skills and the way you connect with the clients that comes into the picture, right?
Mhm.
And that is one of the most like important skill set right now, because all the data scientists, they learn Python, and now we are in the age of chat gpt or other AI tools. So if you
Mhm.
have the basic concepts right, you can easily use
Mhm.
the codes from these things. So are we on the same line? This is what we are talking about, right?
Yes. Yes,
So
totally. I think it's the relationship aspect is harder to master, in my opinion. Now that I kind of been ramping up in my technical learning in the last 3 years. Like, don't get me wrong, learnings never stops because
yeah.
announcement comes every 2 weeks. You need to know
Yeah.
what is it
That,
that you need to change or plan for and with your
hmm.
customer. But I think the relationship aspect and how you would communicate with people is quite a challenging one. It might sound easier than done. It's always something that I'm still learning into today. Like, to be honest, I am still going to public speaking class. I'm still learning how to communicate, even though I could communicate in my daily life. But I feel like there's all of those strategies and details that I have not yet mastered. And it's like an ongoing thing. And I think it will always be an ongoing learning for me. Doesn't matter what role I end up in the future.
That's amazing. That's what everyone says. Like, if you're in this field, you have to learn every day. Even if you know a lot, you have to keep learning and grow in the career wise. Yeah. Anyways,
Totally.
so in this episode, we will be talking a lot about AI, Gen AI, and all those sort of things. But before
Mhm.
that, I just want to know from your end, like you're working at Microsoft, what other tools, or you can say languages, that you are working on right now that helped you or can help people if they can learn those tools.
I say, as a student, and I know the audience for this podcast, usually young professionals or students, right? And we all taught at school the fundamental concept of how to solve a particular problems, fundamentals, open source tools that would help us get a data science project done or a programming project done. Now, once we get over that, we also have to think about what is it that people in an enterprise are using or in a companies are using. And I think that is where, vendors tools comes in, and you might see whether it's from say Microsoft or AWS or Google's OpenAI and whatnot. There's so many like enterprise vendor tools that you can use. But I think it all depends on what is the opportunities that you are going to get or you might be in right now. Because some customer, let's say if you work with public sector or enterprise customer that use Microsoft tools, of course, you might put more attention or put more focus into upskilling the tools that you are going to use. Let's say could be Azure AI Studio or Azure Machine Learning or Azure OpenAI. I'm sure that you already have heard about it, Antikent. And then there might be different types of other customers. Let's say there might be a scale up or a startup that they really get into like using AWS, which is fine as well, but it's just their preference, right? So in that case, you might put your focus in towards, okay, I'm going to learn all of those AI or machine learning tools from that vendor. To be honest, there's no right or wrong here. But as you can already imagine, I have been working at Microsoft and we all support customers with their machine learnings and AI journey through our Microsoft tools. We do have as I mentioned before, the AI studios and Azure machine learning, and all of those platforms, it just make it easier for managing the environment. Let's say you might not have um, a lot of compute in your local computers, right? And that's where the advantage of clouds comes in. You might get into the machine learning platform or AI Studio, and then you just spin up the cloud resources, compute that you might not have in your local computer,
Yeah.
and you just scale when you need it, when you need to run your models or when you need to run your predictive analytics workloads. So that has been quite useful, I think, in my opinion, because then, it eliminates how you have to manage the hardwares or do the management on a particular hardware that you might have.
Right. So, in general, when we talk about the current era, we are with the AI tools. Every day, there are new tools coming in terms of
Mhm.
AI. So, how things have changed, for example, at Microsoft, uh, 2 years back before ChatGPT and now after ChatGPT, when we have so many AI tools, how the day in a life, like how you work,
Mhm.
like every day. So, it has changed, or it is same? How it has changed, if it is? So, if you can tell about that.
Okay, so now you're asking me about the end user hat. Like what has my
Yeah.
life as a
Yes.
Microsoft employee has changed now that I am the
Exactly.
end user of generative AI.
True.
Um, to be honest, I'll say I'm still experimenting it myself. Definitely 50% of the work that I do, I kind of use generative AI feature. But that doesn't come with just, you just interact with it without thinking and then just take the output, right? More of my time is actually evaluating the output. Now,
Right.
is it better than just using my own brain? Sometimes when you are doing, say, a lot of things at once, or when the world has a lot of demand of you, it's good to actually get you going or get you started without you like procrastinating. So for
Right.
me, like I still see the value of, getting started very quickly and then still use my brain to kind of evaluate the output that I can get from generative AI tools, right? It could be Copilot. Actually, we all have access to Microsoft 365 Copilot now. Every day
Yeah.
when I comes in, I'll give you an example. Instead of me looking into my calendar these days, and actually just this morning, because today is Monday, right? So usually I'll plan for the week. I'll come in before Copilot, I will look at all of the meetings that I have and I will just write it all down and think about, all right, what do I need to do? What are the ones that I don't want to go? Or, all trying to prioritize it in the whole week. And usually I get at least 50 meetings in a week,
Yeah.
right? Just
Wow.
meeting, no work, just
That's
meeting.
massive.
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why there's so many meetings on my calendar. So this morning I went in and then I'm like, okay, help me prioritize this week. Consider all the meetings that I have. And I use Copilot and it lists out all the meetings that is in my calendar. And I ask, help me prioritize the one that I am CC on. I just put it on copy. I might not
Right.
be the direct receiver. And then
Exactly.
instead of 50, I actually have 25 or 20, I can't
Exactly.
remember now. But you
Yeah.
see, like it's kind of get me through all the weeds very quickly. And sometimes it's also helped me answer more insightful questions because I was having meeting with my boss today and I was so busy trying to prepare for another customer meeting and I was like, oh, I forgot what I need to tell my boss. I don't have 20 minutes to prepare. So I was like, consider all the things I've done last week. What is it that I need to put it in the agenda with my manager for one-on-one today? And it just lists out all the things that I have done last week that I actually was thinking about telling him, but I probably forgot about it.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's definitely bring the benefits into the work that I do. I did feel like a superhuman, but I have to tell you that I am still evaluating whether this is where is this going and how much of it that is good and how much of it that I still want to have the control of my own way of working. I don't
Right.
know the answer to that yet.
Because generally what happens is you are so used to particular tool that now you don't try
Mhm,
it, or you don't uh, you know keep the notes of it, that hey, AI tool is there, and that thing will help me out anyways. So maybe it's like, we always say it's like pros and cons of everything. So yeah, so
totally.
anyway, so when we are talking about all these tools like Copilot,
Mhm,
so there is AI in it, artificial intelligence, right? So can you
mhm,
just help us out? What is AI in a nutshell, like basic concept? What is AI? And then we'll talk about what is Gen AI, right?
totally. So if it's in my own words, AI, for me, how I think about it is the fabrication of the intelligence by mimicking some of the human cognitive functions. So when I talk about fabrication or fabricating, basically it focused on that AI is engineered, it's designed and built by humans, can be tailored to a specific or broad task, or maybe you come across with the term narrow AIs or general AI. This is an engineering process that involve a careful design of algorithms and selection of data that let these systems learn to behave or decide, right? Then I also talk about emulating or mimicking the human cognitive functions. And when I talk about it, it means reasoning or learning or problem solving, right? And the capability could go on. The one that we have as human being could be translation, could be identifying an entity inside of a sentence, right? This is
Right.
generally achieved through technique like machine learning or deep learning, where system they learn from the vast amount of data and perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. So those are the human cognitive functions. While AI kind of mimic aspects of human intelligence, I also want people to draw the attention to the word some of the human cognitive functions.
Mhm.
It's important to know that AI still lack human consciousness and
Right.
emotional intelligence. It operates
Absolutely.
within a constraint, right? Set of set of programs that got written by some AI developers and the available data that got it to be trained on. So
Yeah.
all of these comes together as a fabricating intelligence. I'm not sure if I kind of bought into this artificial intelligence. How I see it is just that it's just fabricating um,
Yeah.
the cognitive functions that human could do, but now we want a computer to be able to do. It's also bringing up
Correct.
ethical consideration as well. So if you talk to me about what is it in my own words, then we cannot not talk about ethical consideration because how AI is used and its potential impacts on society, such as privacy concern, job displacement, or decision making in high risk areas where we start outsourcing ethical considerations to AI. So those are the one that we should be focusing on more as a society moving forward.
Right. But from end user perspective, they don't think about sustainability or ethical thing because they focus more on output. Like if I'm an
Hmm.
end user, I am looking for a particular project to be done. I'll just use ChatGPT or Copilot or something else
Hmm.
to do my
Hmm.
job. That's it. So I won't think about, hey, this might leak my private information or something. And
Hmm.
this is the loop where everyone is mingled in, and anyways they are more focused on output. And now that we are
Hmm.
talking about AI and GenAI, I think
Hmm.
GenAI is something where we are getting new information. Artificial
Hmm.
intelligence was, we already have the information. GenAI is generating new information. Like for example, we are using ChatGPT. We are
Hmm.
giving some input, and it is giving us new information, right? So that's something we are working on. So as you said about narrow AI and Gen
Hmm.
AI, can you just
Hmm.
elaborate more on narrow AI, or what exactly is that?
So if you think about narrow AI, it's actually the traditional AI that we have in the past, or we always have been
Yeah.
having. They are doing a specific task, such as
Yeah.
classification, prediction, or decision making, or outliers detections, right? Those are very specific. And sometimes it goes by the name narrow AI just to make it
All
simpler
right.
for people to understand. Now, when I talk about Gen AI, and you could take this to both ways, could be generative AI or general AI, right? That specialize in creating new content if you go with the generative AI. But as the multi-modals or the foundation models that um, this generative AI kind of bring with it, it can actually do many tasks together. Like you don't just separate the classification and the entity analysis. Keep saying the wrong word for identity and entities. The entities analysis or translations or um, generating the image captioning. You can do all
Right.
of that with one models. It's not a specific models like before, which was a traditional ways of doing the artificial intelligence.
Right. So one more thing in this, when we talk about skill sets in the future and in
Mhm.
the present as well, many experts say learn about artificial intelligence with cloud computing. So cloud computing is also important aspect right now. We have Azure from Microsoft, then we have AWS, and then we have
Hmm.
Google's cloud as well. So let's talk about just Microsoft cloud right now. And what do you
Hmm.
think is the right way for a person to understand cloud computing, and if it is important in this era, and if it is important, how, and then what is the roadmap for that?
To learn about the cloud computing,
Yes.
right? Okay, how I learned cloud computing when I was a uni student, it's like I borrow somebody else's computer. Okay,
Okay.
so it's an on-demand computing resources that I could request at any point in time. I don't need to
Hmm.
go to JB Hi-Fi and buy a new computer
Right.
when I run out of the computing resources, especially if you're trying to train a deep learning models or you use TensorFlow trying to do image classification that is really complicated. In the past, we actually used university supercomputer that was so hard to get in before the cloud computing. I think
Yeah.
maybe some of the universities do let people use the supercomputer that they have on site today, but cloud computing just make it so much easier to utilize the resources without acquiring the actual hardware. So that's
Hmm.
how I kind of see cloud computing in the most simplest way. And of course, you can think about other features, other capabilities that could come with it. There's networking, there are also application management or traffic management and so on. Like there's so many things inside of cloud computing. Basically, it's just the resources that you can procure, right? And you also have the IS, the PaaS, and the SaaS models, right? Do
Right.
you know what are all those three different types of
Yep.
cloud computing models? Yeah. What
Yep.
is it? Now I'm
That's gonna
testing you
be
on the
that.
fly.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. But yeah.
Yes. So IaaS is the infrastructure as a service, right? PaaS is the platform as a service, and SaaS is the software as a service. So all of these three different models are basically clearly define what is the responsibilities between the cloud operators or the providers and the end users, right? Who wanting to request for those on-demand resources. Platform as a service, basically, you still need to manage all of the infrastructure. It's just in cloud. You don't have to pay for all of the extra hardware to be on site. You can request at any point in time. You can delete it, and you can terminate it, and it's gone. You don't have to manage all of the physical hardware, but you still have to do the patch management. You still need to do image management and so on. And you have
Yeah.
platform as a service. Azure Machine Learning and AI Studios are platform as a service. Right, you can request the virtual machine that runs your machine learning projects, but all of the UI that make things easier. Let's say you're trying to do the prompt chaining together, you can go into AI Studios, and there is a features that call prompt flow that can let you manage that in a visual ways instead of in a code base, for example. It just come with an
Right.
extra features, and of course they might have extra security features or compliant features that comes with it as well. SaaS application or software as a service, um, you are using it today, the Microsoft 365, Outlook, the Word, the PowerPoint. Basically, it's just there for you. You don't need to think about deployment. You don't need to think about configurations of the networking. You just buy it, you procure it, and it's there for you. You can just start using it right away. So those are the
Right.
differences with the different types of cloud computing models. Now, in terms of a roadmap to learn,
Yeah.
I think For me, there's always the two things that goes hand in hand. I'm not sure if I can give you a roadmap because, as I said, a lot of things change very quickly.
Yeah, true.
So, two things that I always think about when I'm learning new topic is the theory and also putting things into practice. Theory kind of helps cement the ideas and organizing the ideas or the concepts that could be super complex, right? And then you take that theory, you learn all the lingos, terminologies into an actual project or into an actual, let's say, mini assignment, and then you do it inside of the platform or inside of that technology that you learn. It help clarify those complicated concepts that you learn before you actually go into the hands-on part.
Right.
So whatever you choose to learn, always think about these two aspects.
Yeah, I remember when I started my Power BI journey. So Microsoft is
Hmm.
really helpful in providing the platform for the people to learn. So I
Hmm.
remember they provided the free credit, so I could use Power BI for free for 6 months, and then got started paying for a monthly fee. Similarly with Azure, I started Cloud Azure, and I
Hmm.
got some 5,000 credit points, and I could learn and I could use that practically for free for 3 months, I guess.
Hmm.
So I think that's a
Wow.
great platform. And then we have
Hmm.
Microsoft learning documents that we can use and all those sort of things. So I think we have a nice
Hmm.
platform to learn for all the beginners and young professionals. So coming to one
Yes.
more aspect in this, I just saw on your LinkedIn, so I think I stalked a lot on your LinkedIn.
Hmm.
So you have 40 plus certifications, right? So is this something you love doing it, or how maybe it helps in career progression, or what exactly is that?
I love learning.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it out of joy and out of curiosity, but
Yeah.
I don't want people to, start, well, drop everything and then go get as many as certification as they want. So the collections of over 40 certifications on my LinkedIn profile, it's primarily demonstrates my enthusiasm for continuous learning, especially we are in tech industry and that everything changed very quickly. I
Right.
wanted to demonstrate my adaptability to this ever-changing technological landscape. These certifications are not just about attaining expertise, and by no means the moment that I got this certification, it doesn't mean I am an expert in it, right?
Right.
Because there are many different ways that you can learn and have different learning strategies to actually get the certification. But they actually represent my commitment to continually developing my skills and knowledge in the field that I am in. Or I might be curious about the closely related fields. It might not be data and AI. It might be different ways of training techniques, for example. So I could go and teach people about data and AI. I just wanted to show people that hey, I am committed to learning, and it's not just saying that I love learning. I
Right.
am committed to it. I love it, and I do it. And you could already imagine that this trait is crucial in today's fast changing world, right? And the only thing that I want to signal to everybody, if they ever comes into my LinkedIn, is that you know what, lifelong learning, I think, is one of those important skills that by default we should all have it, considering where the world's going at this pace. Otherwise we're just gonna feel like so overwhelmed about all the changes that gonna come. So we might just well embrace it.
Right. So now that you're saying that you have you have done certifications, you are hardworking, of course, but in general, like what duration you think you devote to work, then you devote to your self study, and then you devote towards your personal life? So in general, like on an
Mhm.
average, so as to understand how balance people can do apart from that.
Mhm. Okay, so work, study, and personal life.
Yeah.
I used to trying to calculate it into percentage. I don't think that was good for my mental health, to be honest. I I love taking things as it come. I mean, I know I'm in the data and AI professional, but it's it's too synthetic if I do that. I just don't feel like life is life anymore. There's no joy in it. I think part of it that I always trying to do is to watch how I feel about doing a particular thing. Sometimes you do a lot of work, right? And you just get so worn out, you get so stressed because, project doesn't go as planned or it's over the deadline, somebody's unhappy and so on. Then that's when I know that, okay, I need to go and do something fun, something that I enjoy. And usually, as I said before, I do enjoy learning because I do enjoy the fact that there's something that I didn't know before, and now I know how to do it, or now I kind of overcome the problems. So it gives me joy, right? So I just say, all right, I'm gonna go and do that for next week. I might be doing super hard work last week. This week, I'm gonna focus on having fun. When I have fun, then of course my stress level kind of go down, right? Then of course you still have to do the work. Personal life or family life, I give it as a priorities. I always have that aspect of life every day. Even like 30 minutes a day, I will try to make it, right? Because that is it's just important to me as a son, as a daughter, as a partner, to my partner. And that actually, there's also the aspect of sport, because I also do sport, but sport is
Oh,
also
what?
another way for me to de-stress. So in that case, it kind of like on the same level as learning. I could choose
Yeah.
whether I will go learning or I will do sport, right? So I think in this way, I don't have like a concrete way to kind of tell you like, how much
Yeah.
percentage would I do? Maybe 33% each. That's not how it works. I used to
Yeah.
quantify everything, but that was not giving me, the joy of life.
Happiness. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
anyways, it all depends. Maybe one week you are working a lot, you are doing a lot of self study. Maybe other week you are just enjoying. So, it all depends on the situation, how busy you are at work at that particular week or so. So, it all depends, I guess.
exactly. But you need to be observant of yourself, right? Of how you feeling at that point in time. Yes, we all have responsibilities. We all have all those checklists that we need to get done. If those are done and you still feel like this extra time, I feel like I want to engage with community more, just a little bit more work, but I want to do it because I want to see how's the world going, what are people doing in the community, then I go and do it. If I feel like I just want to sleep at home, then I will sleep at home. People won't see me that week because I'm just resting. There's,
Yeah.
like it doesn't have to be either or, but you kind of learn how to adjust it uh to how you feel. And I have to say that it's been many years of trying to run as hard as I can until I reach this point where I trying to make it a more balanced way of working, playing, and resting. But that's also come with understanding yourself and what you need.
Exactly. That's
Mhm.
true. I mean, if you can balance your life with what you need, I think then you're happy. Otherwise, you will always crib like this and that. So, yeah. Otherwise, of course,
Totally.
you have 24 hours. Everyone has 24 hours. We have to decide what is more important. So,
Yeah.
so if we talk about the trends that we have right now in artificial
Mhm.
intelligence, machine learning, Gen AI. So, how do you keep pace with that? How do you see that, hey, this is something new to me right now, let's
Mhm.
study? So is there particular website articles where you read or you watch something? So if you can explain that so that we can be more uh,
Mhm.
visible for it.
Totally. So, how I keep up to date with the latest trends,
Hmm.
I don't keep up to date with all the trends. It has to mean something to me. And I think I forgot to mention around, when we're starting to learn something, right? Just now when we talk about the cloud computing roadmap. So even though I don't really have, um, I guess like a roadmap for students or listener to learn like step by steps, but usually what I try to have is the plan, but it has to be adaptive because you know how we all have to be nimble in this age more than ever before because things changing so quickly. Yes, you have a plan to learn, but instead of rigid long-term plan that you are going to do this particular um, topic, think about how might it change according to the announcement that might comes out. There might be new techniques, there might be new things that divert the attention of that particular technology altogether. Like, for example, blockchain a couple of years ago was such a hit.
Hot.
Everybody
Yeah.
wants to get onto it, right?
Yeah.
All those like cryptocurrency, all of those like creating the blockchain architecture. Yeah, I was
And
learning
now
about
no one
it.
is
And
talking.
then,
Yeah.
yeah, but then what I'm saying was, you know, sometime when you look at it and you kind of like, actually, there's not going to be a lot of demand or the demand from the industry kind of die down. It doesn't mean that you have to stick to it all the way because sometimes other thing comes along and then you're like, yep, I need to get onto this because there's an objective of me learning about it, which is supporting my customer or which is trying to get a job in a particular field or which is whatever that you define for yourself, for example, right? Then when you have this adaptive learning that you have a long-term plan, but then you kind of like pick and choose which one that you need to take out where it's no longer work for you. It doesn't have to be at the macro level. It could be at the micro level as well. Like say
Yeah.
life change, there's a plan, there's something happen, you are allowed to change, you are allowed to reevaluate those situations. And then of course when you have those plan, you will know like which one are you going to allow in, right? Let's say for example now it's all generative AI
Yeah.
and I want to know a particular way of building generative AI solution. Let's say retrieval augmented generation. Want to know about RAG? There's so many different ways to know about RAG, right? Then in
Yeah.
that case, whatever that I let in, it has to be surrounded in that area or closely related, right? I now if I have say newsletter sending me an email about blockchain, I might not read it as much anymore. It could be once a month, not every
Yeah.
day, right? But
Yeah.
now if it's anything has something to do with generative AI, I'll be like, okay, let's see like what is the new update for, every 2 days or every other day so that I
Correct.
could help my customer because let's say I have a customer working on a particular generative AI project and it's always an advantage, to stay ahead of the game. In that case, it fulfill my goal that I plan for myself, right? And that's how I kind of like filter out which is important and which is not important. But I have to say I have many interests. I'm the worst person that you can talk to because I enjoy it. I enjoy the idea. I enjoy the fact that there's different topics and there's different thinking around different things because I think laterally. I don't think ABC. I think all the dots connecting all at once. That's how my brain operates. So for me, like I enjoy that. I think you need to also find that about yourself as well. Like anyone listening, you trying to see like, how does your brain work? Now, when you know what you want to learn and what is it that within your plan, right? You kind of pick and choose the podcast, whoever that give the latest and you like listening to most when you listen to them. You can pick the podcast one of it. Could be a book that you listen to, right? Like audio book. If you don't read book anymore, but you kind of like fill in the time when you go for a run and when you drive to work or when you take your bus to work, you can listen to those book that is in particular that particular area. Or you can also attend community engagement. I do that at least once a month so that I know what is it that people are thinking about, right, within the community. Could be machine learning community within Western Australia, could be all things co-pilot within Western Australia, or data analytics.
Yeah.
There's so
We
many
we have so many
community
events
interests.
going across anyways. Yeah.
Correct. And you get to meet people, right? You get
Exactly.
to understand in real world whether all these trends is a hype or reality, because they are the one working with those projects. And you also can watch YouTube, TikTok, and all those things as well. But I think it's not about all the information that you can get. It's about trying to identify which one you are not going to read and which one's important to you at that point in time. And
Exactly.
remember, it can be changed. Anyway, speaking about podcasts, there's one that I kind of listen to pretty much. I
Analytical
wouldn't
guy.
say every, yeah, well, yes, that's right. I will
Yes.
start listening Analytical Guy from now on. But
Yeah.
AI, if you have more AI stuff, definitely. There's one that I've been recommended to many years ago now, I think by Daniel. Can't remember his last name, but he was the one that told me this. It's called Practical AI, and it's very practical. They talk about the hypes, the theory, the practice, hands-on. They talk about all the AI projects that different people are facing. So I really like that. And I also listen to Tech Source. Tech Source is actually
What's
in
that?
Thai. It's Thai only. I'm sorry, you won't be able to listen to that, but it's in
Ah,
Thai because I'm from
okay.
Thailand. And I want to keep up to date with all the economy in Southeast Asia, and they're pretty good at
Oh,
it.
I
They all
remember
do,
there
yeah,
was one news. So Microsoft has have their news center in Thailand, I guess. Something of that sort of news was there. So they are
yes,
growing their business in Thailand. That's amazing.
exactly. So I just don't want to have my eyes on Australia. I also want to know what's going on in Southeast Asia as well, because it's upcoming
Yeah.
fast and very hot, right? So I also do that as well. I just don't listen to technical podcasts, if that makes sense, because technology for me is just a tool to
Right.
help business achieve a particular outcomes. And there's
That's
always
nice.
a particular outcomes for
Yeah.
businesses, right? So I want to see what are the general economical trend. And actually that was my previous degree. I did business in international business and administration before. So I think
Mhm.
like I always drawn back to the business side of thing, and I always think about like economy as a whole. Um, that's something that I kind of grew up with, and yeah, I just love listening to it.
That's amazing.
Remember, I think about all things at once. It's not
Yeah.
a technical thing. Yes.
I just want to know one more thing I forgot to mention. Like you did your master's in IT from UWA, right?
Yes.
So, any particular instance that you remember your life at UWA, so that you still cherish, something related to studies or something related to the life in university. So, if you can just tell us about that.
The thing the thing about UWA, it was for me it was a safe space. Now I'm thinking about it, it was a safe space for me to try and fail and do different things, do different projects to see what I actually enjoy. Because
Yeah,
I moved to Australia about 8 years ago. UWA was the first community that I was part of, right? And also like
right,
the St. Catherine's College, because I live there, but they just across the road.
right.
Now it actually foster and shape who I am today because of a lot of the values that I gained from there, to be the person that I am today, in Australian community. So I say that I enjoy going to university It's not because I love learning. That was totally different, right? Education
Mhm.
was totally different than learning because there's deadlines and stuff like that. But I think that what I enjoy about it was the fact that it was a safe space for me to come in as an international student and trying to figure out what is it that young Jia would like to do. How is it that the future is going to be for her? And also, while I was doing that, I met, like-minded people, people that are still friends until today. A
Great.
lot of different ways of working in Australia. I also learned it there. So there was multitude of things. I say it was not just about learning. To be honest, learning probably the least of it. Like the content. If I look back into the content of the textbook that I still have today,
Mhm.
I say 50% has changed already. It was not about the content really. It was
Right.
about, the problem solving, the safe space that I can be and I can create and I can play in and I can express and I can find myself and the friendship that I made along the way.
Amazing. I think you're right. Like content will change. It's always about connecting with people, having that community that you can cherish for a long time. That's great.
Totally, totally.
That's amazing. So just last couple of things. So one thing is we talked about AI and Gen AI. So if we
Mhm,
had to say something to the people who are studying right now, be it bachelors of technology or masters, or they're already working somewhere but they are confused what to do next, what do you
mhm.
suggest how they should think about all these technologies and how they should hone their skills, or how they should envision themselves?
I think there's a lot of fear in general towards or skeptical. I say skeptical or the uncertainty towards the generative AI today, right? Because it has a lot of media coverage. Everybody talks about it. All the businesses say that it's going to change the world, change the way we work in the future. And as a young professional or students, they might start thinking about, okay, so where's my place then? Because, looks like the generative AI could give the answer that is like a, say, junior data scientist or junior data engineer. I feel like if you only look at that aspect of obviously, we're all going to be fearful about it's going to potentially take away our job. How I like to think about where we are going, and this also apply to not just students as well, maybe people that are in the industry and maybe they read the report and somebody said that their job might be changed or might be impacted by the Gen AI in the future. How I like to think about it is if you see if there's any gaps in terms of where Gen AI cannot um, excel at the moment, maybe you might want to consider that with the skill that you have already honed for years or learned for years, trying to find that niche. Because if you think about ourselves as a product, right? Find a competitive advantage for ourselves. So you need to find the gaps of what is it that Gen AI potentially might not excel and people still share it in the future. What is it that people will crave for? And somehow, shape or form, I still don't know about this yet, all right? Like I'm still trying to figure this out as well, but this is how I think about it is maybe instead of going very narrow in a very specific skill and become an expert in a specific field, which, if Gen AI could excel or AI could excel in the future, might not be just Gen AI, just AI as a whole, then
Yeah.
I might be losing the job or might be hard for me to jump onto the next job, right? But then how I think about it is, all right, what else that I can do in order to add additional value to the things that I'm doing right now, to the skill that I already have right now. but AI won't excel in the near future. How is it that I'm going to humanize the skills that I have right now to do so? Now, with students, I would say I'm a more optimistic person, like just in general. The thing about generative AI when it first came out, you know what came to my mind? I was like, oh, wow, now I can learn anything. I don't have to
Wow.
be an expert. It's fine. I can, whatever I don't know, I
Yeah.
know the first step because nobody is going to judge me for asking, stupid questions. There might be
True.
something I don't know, but I want to learn, and I might not be able to find that expert. Now the world opens up. It's like library in my fingertips. It's actually better than search before because search you have a lot of spammy texts
Yeah.
and different things that you don't know what you're looking at.
True.
But yeah, but with the generated output, it's kind of like help you focus in one particular thing. And you can also ask about, okay, what are the additional perspective that we haven't thought about before in this context? What else
Yeah.
and what else and what else, right? So for me, like, was the only thing came to my mind was, oh my God, I can learn anything now. That's it.
That's all we
That
need.
was
Positive mindset.
Yes,
If you have something new, learn it.
exactly. Exactly. Because the fear of well, I always say this to myself because my parents always say this to me that the fear of the fear of being stupid or, thinking that everybody will look at you as a stupid person is holding you back.
Yeah.
And for me, like that was like one of the things that I live by. Like I would not just shut up and don't ask question if I don't know. If I'm in a room and if I don't understand, I will just say something about it. And I know that it's not easy for everybody, right? Because, there are many things, maybe cultural things as well. But for me, like now, perfect. Like I don't even have to have perfect English to be able to do things that I want to do or to learn the things that I want to do because I could ask generative AI as many time as I want to clarify all
Exactly.
the jargons and English different difficult English words as much as I want. Actually, that's probably the reason why I'm still learning how to do communication, because you can get the generative outputs, but how are you
Yeah.
going to communicate it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. So it has been amazing, Gia. Thanks a lot. You have touched base on Gen AI, about AI, and of course, we don't have to worry about the jobs. It's always about learning new things and staying up to date, and then using that new development into your strength. So it's always about that, and then the world is yours. So thanks a lot,
Totally.
Gia, for accepting the request and you could come to the podcast, and I'm sure this will be your favorite podcast from now on.
I will
Yeah.
add that on my favorite list on Spotify or something,
Yes.
wherever I listen to podcasts. Thank
Amazing.
you for having me.
Thank you, Gia.